Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dan Gruen, and I'm here painting a sunset that I'm doing over. And I'm here to talk to you about what I learned actually from this experience and how it ties into what I've been going through in a broader scale in my life. And what I learned is that you got to paint over your past. You got to keep painting over your past. Just paint over it. Whatever's there, paint over it. Just paint over it. That's the key that I learned from this experience because I painted the sunset, the first one underneath, and then I was like, I gotta do this over again. And then I actually screwed it up and I covered in with the yellow there everything. If you put the tape back, you can see that I had tried again, and this is actually the third attempt to get this sunset exactly the way I wanted here. And I actually gave up on making the reflection look like the sky. I was just like, I'm just gonna do the sky, and I'll take care of the water later. Uh, and I actually made the water look completely different than the sky, but it worked. It looked good. And that's why I'm saying don't be afraid to paint over anything that you've outgrown, as they say, is no longer serving you in your life. Don't be afraid to paint over it. Don't be afraid to move on to something new, try something different, and repaint the canvas of your life because that's really what we're meant to do. Sometimes things fall away and we start over and we recreate. Uh, Sometimes we create something and then we realize we're not happy with it. And we deserve to be happy. We deserve to have happiness in our life. And if we create something that we don't really like and have to let it go, it can create some difficult feelings. A lot of difficult feelings. But if you're willing to eventually, get past the grieving process and move on and try something different, you can make your life look completely different. And it's like having a whole new life, a whole new different life. I chose painting because my major complaint with my career that I had before, which was making good money, but I wasn't happy, was that I didn't wasn't allowed any creative outlet. You know what I mean? I wasn't allowed enough creative outlet. So it makes sense that now that I uh, am in charge of my own time again, I would start painting. And yeah, I liked the first sunset that I'd painted on here in reflection, which you can still see the reflection on the water from the previous first coat of paint. I liked it, but I decided I had to do it again. It needed like more paint, needed to be needed another coat so that it could look richer in color, more vibrant, uh, more professional, you might say, to get that extra layer coat on there. And I'm going to repaint the bottom too. But right now I'm trying to put in clouds, as you can see. And everything you're seeing that I painted right there is going to get covered over. You aren't going to see hardly any of that because I repainted the clouds too. I painted the clouds, and when I was finished the first time painting these clouds, they actually look kind of nice right now. But when I was painting them and I finished the shadow area, it started to look like the sky was kind of angry and gloomy, and I ended up covering up too many of the highlights with other colors, and I didn't like it. And it took me a while to come to terms with that because at this point I was in love with the sunset. But here you can see everything I painted before I have now covered over. I skipped over a lot of the time I spent painting the clouds and obsessing over the clouds, and uh, there was a point where I just had to repaint over everything that I had done before again with the clouds and do them a second time with completely different colors after the others had dried. And here you can see I just have a lavender for my highlight tone, and I basically have purple, which I haven't put in yet, but next I'm going to put purple in for a more medium color to blend that highlight in a little bit with the rest of the clouds. And my clouds ended up, someone told me, looking a lot like birds. And she's right. My clouds totally ended up looking like birds, which was not intended, but ended up being kind of a cool effect that people liked, and I liked it. and it worked. It looked nice because I was willing to repaint over the clouds that I didn't like, even though I'd put a lot of time and effort into the first time. I had to admit to myself that I did not like it and then formulate a new plan on how to cover up those clouds I didn't like and completely redo new clouds and what colors I was going to use and everything. Um, didn't take that long, really, just a few hours to go through all that and figure it out. But in life, when you spend years on your first coat of paint, it can be hard to move on to that second coat. You know what I mean? Like, I put decades of my life into being an engineer, but I never got to have any creative outlet. It always felt wrong. There was always something that felt off about it. And it didn't make sense to a lot of people in my life, and even to me, that I would choose a change in career and go from working on government contracts doing environmental work or engineering work to switch completely to something like painting and having a YouTube channel and wanting to help people heal. But I did learn Reiki, and once I learned Reiki, I understood that we have the ability to heal ourselves. And a lot of what works is actually the placebo effect, because when we think something works, it tricks our mind into relaxing, and then the healing can happen. The whole thing is about tricking ourselves into a more centered, relaxed state. Not necessarily tricking yourselves into it, but the reason the placebo effect works is because you're able to relax. You take something, you believe that it works, and so you relax. But it's the relaxation that causes, I'd say, most of the healing in a lot of cases. So I'm not saying medications don't work and you don't need them for certain things. You do. But to a large extent, we heal ourselves. And that's what I learned with Reiki. And I understood how the system was at war with itself. I began to see things more clearly. It changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I didn't like giving my time and energy away to an employer who I didn't agree with and didn't care about what I had to say about anything, wasn't interested in my opinion on things. I was just there to toe the line. And I didn't feel like I had enough freedom in my life. Funny, funny story. I started this video a long time ago. I don't even know how long ago it was. I'm gonna guess I was working on this video in the fall or early winter of 2021, so towards the end of 2021, probably October, November, and it is now 2022. Um, what month is it? Oh, yeah, it's early August. My life's completely changed and transformed since I started this video. I haven't been able to paint anything else since, because my life got totally sidetracked and derailed. So, yeah, it's like kind of like how you see in the painting where I am screwing it up and then fixing it, and then totally screwing it up and then fixing it, and then screwing it up and then fixing it. Very much a metaphor for my life. Always screwing things up and then having to fix it. 2022 has been an interesting year for me. I'm back to being an engineer again, which I did not think would happen. I really had completely given up on my career as an engineer. I thought that I had too long a gap in employment to be hired again as an engineer. And I wasn't succeeding with my YouTube channel, as you can probably tell, unless you're watching this years in the future, which would be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, 20 towards the end of 2021, I got into a relationship with someone that I don't want to talk too much about it because, one, I'm embarrassed, and two, wouldn't be fair to her. So I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but basically, got into a relationship with her. Started off seeming like it was gonna be really good, and then something happened. It's not exactly clear what, but everyone started fighting. Like everyone started fighting with each other, and I'm not trying to blame everybody else. I'm sure I played a role in it. Um, that ended with me driving 1,000 miles away with no plan whatsoever. And I ended up getting a job that kind of came out of the blue, just totally like I was looking for work, but this job found me. So while I was applying for jobs, someone contacted me about a job. Someone I did not know. They found, I guess, my resume online, and they were like, "Hey, guess what? You'd be perfect for this job." And I was like, "Bet." And the next thing I knew, I was getting drug tested for that job. And I was also living in the most disgusting place, surrounded by people smoking pot constantly. So I was worried that I was going to fail. But I got the job. And yeah, so as you see, I have painted over everything. And some parts are the same and some parts are different. This painting's really very much a metaphor for my life, and that's pretty crazy. I also was able to sell this painting. I made about $100 selling this painting to a girl or woman in Hawaii who gave me an extra $70 for the shipping costs. Because, yeah, it costs $70 to ship this painting to Hawaii using USPS. And at this point, I'm very grateful that I got the job. I'm an engineer again, but I also want to get back into painting now that I'm more situated. And God knows what else. Get back into the YouTube channel, right? So I guess everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And nothing is ever gained without something being ventured, and I've learned that what is lost is not really lost, just returned. Um, Life is just insane. It's been such a roller coaster, and I got scammed recently, and my heart broken again. But at least this time, I have a place to live. I still have my job. It's not completely destroyed me because I've learned to be very grateful for what I have after what I went through. And here comes the best part where I rip the tape off the painting. Oh, yeah. So satisfying. Oh, yeah, look at that sunset now. Wow. I just need to fix the wash, which is the light blue and white part. It's like, I realized the contrast is just too much. Just too much. And then I also realized that I had a lot of purple in the sky, so I wanted more purple reflecting off that shallow part where the water is supposed to be shallow towards the shore. So any second now I'm going to start putting some purple in there. Anyway, so what I'm really trying to say to you guys is never give up on yourself, no matter what happens. Keep on keeping on. And sometimes you gotta take a leap of faith. Sometimes you gotta recognize that you're gonna lose. But if instead of looking at it as having lost, you look at it as now you have your freedom back and can create something different, that's what was really hard for me. Letting go of the past, looking forward to the future. And once I took the leap of faith and said, I'm not going to stay where I was because I was miserable and moved literally 1,000 miles south. Um, I really needed that. I needed the change of environment, and I needed to move to a warmer environment. I needed more sun. I needed more heat. I'm a skinny person. I get cold easily. And I was resisting it for a long time when I was young. I really thought that if I moved far away from home, I was gonna die. Like I didn't think I was gonna make it. It's like what do I expect to happen? But what ended up happening was truly miraculous. Like I got an email about the job, and I almost didn't even notice that the email was even there. Thank God I responded to that email because now I'm in a position where um, I can work my day job and still feel good enough to work on my side hustle, my pet project of this YouTube channel, and I don't have to worry so much and have the pressure of having to make my YouTube channel pay the bills because I already have a job that pays the bills. And I can balance um, the things that are la- feel like they're lacking or missing from my life that the day job doesn't give me, I can get from the side hustle. And the things that I can't get from the side hustle, I can get from my day job, if that makes sense. And it just took a long time for me to get to the point where I felt like I had the energy to do both and like figure out how it made sense for me and also mature to the point where I really had the confidence. Confidence was a big part of my mission statement for what I wanted to do with my side hustle. And one of the first things I realized was that I was lacking confidence. So, confidence is going to join up with empowerment and healing and inspiration. And that'll be, I'll say, inspiration, confidence, and healing are like the trifecta. Or maybe inspiration, empowerment, and confidence are the trifecta, which cause healing. Yeah, whatever.